Hi, welcome back to my channel. This video is for the division quiz, the rework of the division quiz that the students will have tonight. So I wanted to get a video out here to help those to make sure that we understand the concepts. So let's discuss what concepts the students have to know for division. So they need to know mental math division, which is taking those facts from multiplication and understanding that if you have, for example, 64 divided by 4, that means the same thing. Let's do this, divided by 4. That means the same thing as 4 times blank equals 64. So it's understanding that you can change division into multiplication in order to figure out your quotient. They need to know estimating to solve. Using compatible numbers. All right. They need to know partial quotients. Additionally, they need to be able to know area model to solve. They need to be able to solve division that has equal groups and division that has remainders. And finally, they need to be able to interpret the remainder. So understanding the use of the remainder and how it affects the possible answer that will be given. It's a little smaller here. So these are the concepts that apply for the division quiz rework. Mental math division, estimating to solve division using compatible numbers, partial quotients, area model to solve division with equal groups and division with remainders, and interpreting the remainder. And in addition, they need to know vocabulary. All right, so we are going to discuss some of the vocabulary. I'm really going to go in the same order that the quiz is, and vocabulary was the first thing that they needed to know. So let's do this. Vocabulary is the first thing they need to know. They need to know dividend, divisor, division, equation, partial quotients, quotient, and remainder. So the dividend is the number that is being broken up into groups. The number that is broken up into groups. The divisor is the number of groups. And a little clue for 4th grade, our divisors are only going to be 1 digit. So if you have 2 numbers and only one of them's 1 digit, then that's your divisor. Your dividend is the biggest number that you have. Division is the operation. The operation to complete a math problem. Equation is the setup of the math problem. Partial quotients is a strategy to solve division using pieces of pieces, let's spell it right, pieces of quotients, and then adding to determine your full quotient. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. And the remainder is what is left over after you've made your equal groups. All right, so to re-go over this, I'm going to make it smaller so you can see all this stuff at once. All right, so here's our vocabulary. We have dividend, the number that is being broken up into groups. Divisor, the number of groups. Division is the operation to complete a math problem. Equation is the setup of a math problem. Partial quotient is a strategy to solve division using pieces of a quotient and then adding to determine the full quotient. Quotient is the answer to a division problem, and remainder is what is left over after you've made your equal groups. The next portion of the test, the students are going to have to use compatible numbers to estimate the quotient. All right, so let me go ahead and switch my share here. So let's talk about the strategy of compatible numbers. So first things first, we're going to go over the directions. Actually, let me go back to the other page, quicker for me to type. So we are going to right here. So the steps. So it's steps for estimating using compatible numbers. All right, so the first step is you box the first, oops, I put B twice, two numbers of your dividend. After you box the first two numbers of your dividend, you're then going to do the multiplication facts for your divisor. Complete the multiplication facts for your divisor until you reach a multiple that is greater than the two numbers. Determine the low end compatible number. Determine the high end compatible number. Subtract the actual dividend from the low compatible number to determine the distance from the dividend. Subtract the high end compatible number from the actual dividend to determine the distance from the dividend. The distance that is closer is the compatible number that you will use the about answer is the multiplier that was used to determine the compatible number. All right, so let's review these. Box the first two numbers of the dividend. Complete the multiplication fact for your divisor until you reach a multiple that is greater than the two numbers. Determine the low end compatible number. Determine your high end compatible number. Subtract the actual dividend from the low compatible number to determine the distance from the dividend. Subtract the high end compatible number from the actual dividend to determine the distance from the dividend. The distance that is closer is the compatible number that you will use. The about answer is the multiplier that you use to determine the compatible number. So now let's go into my screen here, and I'm going to share an example of all of this. All right, so let's say we have 2,986 divided by 7, okay? So if I'm following my directions, the first thing to do is to box my first two numbers. All right, my first two numbers are 29. So I'm going to do my sevens tables until I reach above 29, and then I'll stop. So, and I can do this 7, and if I don't know my tables, I do my 7 tally marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I only do those once, and then I can go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Then 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35. So I'm stopping there because I'm now greater than that. So my high end, which I can do right away, I'm going to write low and high because that's where I stopped, was on my high end, was 35. And now I have two place values outside of the box, so I have to have two zeros. So my high end compatible number is 3,500, those two place values. And my low end compatible number is 28 and two zeros. So now these are my new equations, and I have to determine which equation I want to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve this. So, oh, I put 5, it should be 7. I made a mistake here. So 2,800 divided by 7 is 400, and I know that because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and two zeros. 400. And 3,500 divided by 7 is 500 and two zeros. So my answers are either going to be about 400 or about 500. And I have to determine which compatible number is closer to my actual number. So my direction said for my low end, I take my actual compatible number, my actual dividend, and I subtract my compatible number. 6 minus 0 is 6, 8 minus 0 is 8, 9 minus 1, or 8 is 1, and 2 minus 2 is 0. And now for my high end, it says I take my high end compatible number and I subtract my actual dividend to determine the distance. This becomes a 10. And since I'm borrowing from here, that becomes a 9. And I have to borrow over here because that won't work. And then I have to borrow over here because 4 won't go from 9. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 8 is 1. 14 minus 9 is 5. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So the distance between 2,800 and 2,986 is 186. The distance between 3,500 and 2,986 is 514. So my compatible number that I should be using is this particular one. So for question 6 on the quiz, the answer I would select would be 2,800 divided by 7 because it asks what compatible equation should I use to solve this problem. So that's how I would work on number 6. for the next question, the students were given, it says, tell how many are in each group and how many are left over. Write the correct answer in the box indicated by the vocabulary term. So 196 rocks into 9 groups. This is the example. So I have to do my division for this. And I need to do my friendly facts, 9 times 1, 9 times 2, and I'm gonna do 9 times 5. And then my multiples, so 9 times 10, 9 times 20 is 180. And I can't do 9 times 50 because that'd be 450. So I'm going to stop there. So I have 180. And that is 9 times 20. Circle that because that means I use my 9 20 times there. We do my subtraction. 6 minus 0 is 6. 9 minus 8 is 1. So now I have 16. Well, I can't use 180. I can't use 90. I can't use 45. And I can't use 18. So that means I have to use 9. So that's 9 times 1. Circle that. And 16 minus 9 is 7. So my quotient is this plus this, 20 plus 1. So my quotient is 21. And my remainder is 7. And remember, the remainder has to be smaller than my divisor. My divisor is 9, so that is appropriate. So that's how they would solve question number 7. The next question, number 8. Estimate the quotient by using compatible numbers. So we did just do one like that, but we'll do another one. Let's go here. 4,381 divided by 8. So this is compatible numbers and estimating. So I'm looking for my about. So I know my answer has to have at least 2. So I can actually 2 zeros. So I can actually go ahead and just do this and get this part ready. So I know my 2 zeros have to be there. Now I need to figure out what numbers are here. So my 8's tables, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I got 8 times 2 is 16. And I'm going to go all the way until I get above 43, just one time above 43. Not one number, but one multiple that's above 43. So 16 times 3 is 24, 32, 40, and then 48. So that's my high. So my high end compatible number is 4,800. And 4,800 divided by 8 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 2 zeros. All right, so that's equal to that. So I know my answer can possibly be 600. And then let me do my other one here. My low end is 4,000 divided by 8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 zeros, so 500. So my answer is either 500 or 600. Now I need to determine which number is closer to my actual dividend. All right, so I need to take my actual dividend, 4,381, and subtract my compatible number, the low end compatible number, that's 183, so 381 away. My high end compatible number minus my actual compatible number. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 8 is 1. 7 minus 3 is 4. So looking here, it shows that my low end compatible number is the one that is closest. And so my about answer is about 500. That's how they would solve number 8. Number 9 says to use partial products to solve the problem. Use partial products to solve the problem. All right. So partial product has some steps where we have to figure out our friendly facts. Then we do our subtraction and figure out our times tables and eventually add. So it is friendly facts, subtraction and times tables, because you have to write down what times tables you use, and then your addition to help you solve. So my friendly facts are going to be for my 6. So I've got 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 5. Those are the ones I like to use because I know all those by heart. And now my multiples of those. 6 times 10. 6 times 20. And remember, I can't be bigger than this. So if it's bigger, then I know I've gone too far. That's 120. 6 times 50 is 300. I can keep going. 6 times 100 is 600. 6 times 200 is 1,200. 6 times 500 is 3,000. Oops. So I can keep going. And then if I do 6 times 1,000, that's 6,000. So I need to stop there. So that's my friendly facts and my compatible numbers right there. Now I'm going to take 3,750 and I'm going to go to my biggest number and I'm going to subtract that out first. 3,000. Take out the biggest chunk first, and that is 6 times 500. Circle the 500. Subtraction leaves me 750. Can't use 3,000 now. Can't use 1,200 now. Can use 600, so that's what I'm going to use. And that's 6 times 100. Now I have 150. Can't use 600. Can't use 300, but I can use 120. So that's the one I'm going to use. And that's 6 times 20. That leaves me with 30. Can't use 120, can't use 60, but I can use 30. And that's 6 times 5. And that brings me to 0. And now in order to determine my quotient, I'm going to add these partial quotients together. These are partial quotients I took out. So 500 plus 100 is 600. 600 and then 20 plus 5 is 25. So 600 plus 25 is 625. And that's how they would solve question number 9. Question 10. Question 10 is a word problem in which they have to determine the quotient and then tell me how the remainder affects the number of things. So if, let's just say that Nelson has 87 cars, toy cars, 87 toy cars. And his case holds 8 toy cars. How many full cases will he have? So this is interpreting the remainder, okay? And so I have to set up my problem. It's 87 divided by 8. And now I am going to use my partial quotients to figure this out. I know 8 times 1 is 8. I know 8 times 10 is 80. And so I'm going to stop there, obviously, because it's only 87. So I'm going to subtract 80, which is 8 times 10. And that leaves me with 7 left over. So that means I have my, how many full cases would be 10 full cases. Now the remainder is 7. How does that affect the number of full cases? It doesn't affect the number of full cases. That means that's what I have left over. So this is interpreting the remainder. If it says how many that you have to take care of in all, that's going to be the quotient plus 1 more. If it says full, that's just the quotient. And if it says remainder, that's what you have left over. And that's how they would solve number 10. Question number 11, the students have to take the word problem and create the equation. It is the equation only. So, Jacob Jacob has 591 bottle tops. He will separate them into 3 boxes. All right, so this one was equation only. I'm going to take my dividend, which is the number I am separating, divided by the number of groups, or for this case, boxes. So this is how they would do number 11. Number 12 is to solve the equation that they came up with for number 11. So, and they can choose any strategy they want. I'm going to do partial quotient. So 3 times 1, 3 times 2, and 3 times 5. 3 times 10, 3 times 20, 3 times 50, 3 times 100 is 300. And then 3 times 200 would be 600, which would be too much. So now I'm going to subtract out my pieces. It's minus 300. That's 291. I can't use that anymore. So I'm going to go to my next biggest number. And this is 3 times 100. That's 150. So that's 3 times 50. 141. Can't use that. Now I'm going to do 60. That's 3 times 20. That's 81. I can take out another 60. 3 times 20. That's 21. And then I know that 3 times 7 is 21. So I'm going to do that. That wasn't here, but I do know that one. And now in order to figure out my quotient, I add these pieces together. 100 plus 50 is 150. 20 plus 20 is 40, and then 7. And I have 3 add-ins, so I can add those together. 0, 0, and 7 is 7. 5 and 4 is 9. 1 and nothing is 1. The quotient is 197, and that's how they would solve number 12. Number 13. For number 13, they need to use their mental math multiplication in order to solve the division problem. So if I have 72 divided by 9, I turn this into a multiplication problem where my divisor becomes my first multiplier. I don't know what this is, and then my dividend is my multiple. So what times 9 equals 72? I know that is 8. And that's how they would solve 13. Number 14. For number 14, they are looking through a series of problems to determine if a problem meets a certain criteria. So for example, has a remainder of 6 or has a quotient of 142, something like that. So let's do has a remainder of 6. So let's see here, 521. All right, so here they have certain criteria. So let's say they have to find a problem that the criteria is it has a remainder 5. All right, so we're looking for 5 left over. So we're going to solve both of these problems, any strategy you want to do, to determine which one has a remainder of 5. And they have to circle the problem that has that remainder of 5. So let's go here. I'm going to do 8 times 1, 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 10, 80. 8 times 20, 160. 8 times 50, 400. And then we can't do 8 times 100 because that's 800. So we're going to do 400. And that is 8 times 50. That's 121 left over. And now I've got 80. 8 times 10. That's 41. And then I've got 40. 8 times 5. And that leaves me with 1. So this has 1 as a remainder. Remember, it was asking for that criteria, so that's remainder 1. Now I need to check this one. I can't just assume that it has that. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 5 is 30. These are my friendly facts. Now I'm going to do my multiple. 6 times 10, 60. 6 times 20 is 120. 6 times 50 is 300. And then 6 times 100 would be 600. So I can't do that. So I have to do 300. And that's 6 times 50. That's 221. And then I can take out 120. That's 6 times 20. It's 101. Then I can do 60. That's 41. And then I can do 30. That's 11. And I could take out 6. And that is 5. And remember, I'm determining which one has a remainder of 5. So this would be the equation that I would circle because that fits the criteria. The next question is a word problem, and they have to determine how many full items they would have, and then how many more they would need to get another full item. So how many full and how many more to have another full. So if I have 59 tickets, and it takes 3 tickets to ride a ride at the fair. It takes 3 tickets to ride, so it's 3 tickets per ride. They want to know how many rides can I go on, and then how many more tickets would I have to get in order to go on another ride. So how many rides could I go on? That's going to be 59 divided by 3. And then I'm going to take my remainder, and I know that I need to get 3, whatever my remainder is. I'm going to subtract that to tell me how many more tickets I need in order to go on another ride. So it's 3 times 1, 3, 3 times 2, 6, 3 times 5 is, oh, not 66, that's 15. 3 times 10 is 30. And I can't go any higher, so I'm going to stop at 30. 3 times 10, that's 29 left. I can do 15. That's 3 times 5. That's 14. And I know 3 times 4 is 12. That's another one that I know. So that leaves me with 2 tickets left over. So I can go on 5 or 10, 15, 19. I can go on 19 rides. And then it takes 3 tickets to go on a ride. I have 2 tickets left over. 3 minus 2 is 1, which means I need 1 more ticket in order to go on another ride, the 20th ride. So I need 1 more ticket. All right. Question number 16 is taking a word problem and determining if the answer is the quotient, and if it is the quotient and you have to go up 1 to account for all, if it is just the quotient, which is the full number, or if it is the remainder, what is left over. So let's do Gabe. Coming to his party. So Gabe has 84 friends coming to his party. He has 7 rooms. 84 friends coming to, let's put his sleepover. He has 7 rooms. How many rooms would be full? Or wait, no. That's not. Gabe has 84 friends coming to a sleepover. He has, oh, wait. What's this? Each room can sleep 7 people. How many rooms would he fill up? All right, I don't need to solve this. What I need to do is interpret the remainder. So Gabe has 84 friends coming to a sleepover. Each room can sleep 7 people. How many rooms would he fill up? Fill up means full, which means the quotient is my answer. So the response to this would be whatever it may be, but the quotient is the answer. 17 is using area model to solve a problem. An area model, which we've seen before, takes the dividend or the multiple for the part of area model broken up into pieces, and then we use what we know in order to solve the problem. So I'm going to take this, that's 1700 divided by 4. That's 240 divided by 4, and this is 16 divided by 4. Now remember, it is turning it into a multiplication problem. No, that should be 16, sorry, I made a mistake, 16. I count for my zeros later, so they are in my answer, but right now I don't need them. What times 4 equals 16? Well, that's 4, so this is 400. What times 4 equals 24? Well, that's 6, so that's 60. And what times 4 equals 16? Well, that's 4. And then I just add these pieces together. That's 464. And then the last 3, 18, 19, and 20, are division problems where they can choose whatever strategy they'd like to solve the problem. So I'm going to do 3 problems here. All right, so I've got 2 problems here. I'm just going to solve these 2. And actually, I think I'm going to turn my paper like this. Start with this first one. 3624 divided by 4. For this one, I am going to use the area model. But again, you can choose whatever strategy you want. And I'm going to break this up into, because I know my multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36. So I'm going to do 3600. That's 3600, and then I'm going to do 24. 3600 divided by 4, 24 divided by 4. 4 times blank equals 3600. 4 times blank equals 36. 4 times 9 equals 36. I have to put my 2 zeros back, so this is 900. 4 times blank equals 24. 4 times 6 equals 24. This is 6. My answer is 906. So that's how we solve that using area model. The next one, 5,281 divided by 5. My friendly facts, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, and 5 times 5. And again, you can use any friendly facts that you like, that are friendly to you, that you know off the top of your head. We don't want to waste brain power on trying to figure out a multiplication problem we don't know. We want to use our brain power to do the other parts. Now I'm doing the multiples. All right, so I'm going to stop there because that's 5,000. I'm going to take out my biggest chunk, and that is 5 times 1,000. That leaves me with 281. Can't use 5,000, can't use 2,500, can't use 1,000, can't use 500. I can use 250. That's 5 times 50. That's 31. Can't use 100, can't use 50, but I can use 25. That's 5 times 5. That's 6. And I can use 5. That's 5 times 1. So I have a remainder of 1. And then I add these together. 1,050, 55, 56, 1,056, remainder 1 is my answer to this question. All right, this is the division quiz review help video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you bring this back tomorrow in order to get your credit.